Hey, and welcome to the Izi Chinchay show.
If you have a plan, at least you know what you are supposed to execute, right? And then we can have a marker. Even if it didn't go well, like, yeah, but did you follow your plan? That's good. We just need to perfect the plan now, right? Or get better at executing the plan.
I am so pumped that you tuned in. My goal with the show is to inspire and motivate you to the best of my abilities. I believe our world needs more leaders, and I believe that you, my listener, are a leader, and that you have the opportunity to impact your community and family by simply being you. I truly am here to try and serve and offer value to your life. And if you enjoy the show, it would mean the most to me if you could please either rate, subscribe, or share the show with anyone who you think might benefit from listening. Together, we can make this world a better place. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you love today's episode.
So I'm excited to welcome Izi. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
So look, people watching this have got no time at all. They want to get out, get in, get out. So we're going to go jump straight in. I'm going to ask you to share a little bit with us. Why are we talking? Tell us a little bit about, what it is you're up to right now. I was super excited to hear about soccer coaching and entrepreneurship. So tell us a little bit about what's going on.
So I too am a podcast host. So passionate about that. Spent a lot of time working on my podcast. And then I own a soccer coaching business called Push the Goal Soccer, which is focused on training kids to within their club teams, and then also training players how to get recruited.
Tell us more about that. What do you notice most about the kids that you get to coach? Because I think that you don't have to coach them, you get to coach them. That's a really powerful thing. But tell us a little bit, what do you get most from them? What do you notice about them?
I noticed a couple things. I noticed a lot of good things. I think the area that I noticed needs a lot of improvement is self-confidence. I think a lot of kids struggle with confidence, whether it's actual skill work like 1v1 or confidence to, say what they want, have the courage to say what it is that they want to play on or professional, and just teaching them like, hey, it's a privilege to be out here, and it's a privilege to practice confidence. And that's what we have to do to get to the next level.
And now people watching this thinking, yeah, I've seen James before. Why is he talking to somebody who coaches kids soccer? So now we can draw some parallels, because I want to ask you a question about that. Do you think adults suffer with confidence issues too?
I think everyone does at times. I think I do. I think, you probably have it, certain points in your life. I think everyone does. And confidence is valuable, because when we're confident, we're more likely to also help others, right? It's when we're insecure that we draw away, and we're usually going to, be closed and not serve.
Yeah. We didn't talk too much before we came on air about what I do, but I help people in their careers, either personally or professionally, just to get to the next level, whatever it is for them. Now, these people are ambitious and they are successful already. They've done some great things, but they do come to me lacking confidence, and they do come to me lacking clarity. And we have to kind of dig into those things. So when the kids are raising these, this is where we can give a teaching moment now for our audience here. When the kids are lacking confidence, what are the kind of mechanisms that you put in place that's going to help them?
Two things. I think first is checking the dialogue, right, that's running in their head. I'm like, what are you telling yourself, right? Because if the voice inside my head is like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared, this isn't going to work, I'm going to mess up, or even it's don't mess up, don't mess up. That's not very confidence inspiring, right? So the first thing is like we check that dialogue, right? So what are you saying to yourself? Can we make that positive? And that's usually a very, very easy fix, right? So the dialogue, and then forcing it, some positive affirmations. And then the second thing is have a plan. If you have a plan, at least you know what you are supposed to execute, right? And then we can have a marker. Even if it didn't go well, like, yeah, but did you follow your plan? That's good. We just need to perfect the plan now, right? Or get better at executing the plan. So it's pretty simple, but I would say those are the two things for sure.
I love it. So I'm going to get visual reminders for people watching. Look, internal dialogue.
I love that.
Yeah, okay. I think that's really good. Yeah, whatever mental chatter you're listening to. Yeah, it's even something I talked about today. I'm a big fan of Gabriella Bernstein, if anyone knows who she is. And she talks a little bit about, got to be careful about the voice that you're listening to, because you are the only one listening. And so I think internal dialogue is a great conversation to be having with somebody lacking confidence. And the second one you said there was to have a plan. So we're going to dive into this too. It's something in my world that I see an awful lot of, is that it's sometimes people have stumbled through their careers to get great success. And I'm sure you see kids who've stumbled through their soccer coaching to get great success. And they may score a goal in a match, or they may achieve something in a game, or accomplish a skill. And then they suddenly realize, I don't really know how I did that. But there probably was a plan, but it's just a loose one. So, but let's talk about those two things separately. And then I want to continue this conversation. This is great because I think it's so valuable for somebody who's engaged with the younger generation to identify patterns, and I always think if you can spot patterns and then you can use those patterns, and these patterns are going to be useful for for professionals watching this too.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that internal dialogue. If I come to you and I'm struggling with my internal dialogue, and we talked about universal doubt earlier and kind of negative thinking, what are the conversations that you're having? Are you doing that in kind of group setting, one-to-one? And then what are the kind of things that you're sharing with those players?
I think bringing awareness to it is the first step. And I think especially, in the younger group, and some kids want to fight it. They're like, nothing was going on in my head. I said, well, what voice just said nothing was going on in your head? Right. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I do have this dialogue. So I think the first thing is bringing awareness to it. And then I simply just remind them to speak kindly to themselves. Just speak kindly to yourself. If you don't know what to say, can you just say something kind to yourself? And it's often as simple as that. And then everyone needs to hear different things. Right. And it seems like, wherever our insecurities came from, or what, like, I don't know the actual pain points of each person unless I'm working very closely with them. So they know those insecurities. I'm like, so then how can you support yourself? And how can you be kind to yourself? How can you say kind things to yourself? And athletes are different, right? I have one athlete and she's like, for me, all I need to say is like, see ball, get ball. Like, I just don't want to speak negatively to myself. I just say, see ball, get ball. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, don't mess up. Like, let's not, turn this to a negative thing. She's literally just like, see ball, get ball. If I see myself getting negative, I'm like, nope, see ball, get ball. And for her, that's it. And for I have another athlete, and he's pretty elite, and he's high level, and he's intense. And like, for him, his style, he needs to get really cocky. Right. And I'm like, that's okay. Be cocky. Say, I'm the freaking best. I'm going to win it all. I am number one. Like, that's the style that works for me. Right. That's what I say. That's how I hype myself up. I'm like, I am number one. I am the best. That's okay. Like, and I remind them that it's also okay, because there's that balance too. Sometimes we get like, is that okay to be like that forward and like speak that way? I'm like, absolutely. If that's what works for you. Right. Other athletes, that's not their style. So, addressing it and then kind of catering to each athlete. Like, or each individual, each high performer, what works for you, right? Like, what do you need to do? You need to hype yourself up, does it need to be extreme or a little more chill, and then just finding that and sticking to it.
We got internal dialogue. You're giving some advisory there and kind of identifying the difference between different types of people. So people watching this, draw the parallels. What is the positive intent you can insert so that you can be focused on that professionally for you? So let's talk about planning. And you're going through this conversation with these kids, but what's the age group, by the way? Let's talk about that.
I think I work the most with high schoolers.
Okay.
High schoolers is probably my biggest age group. I work with the little kids too. I love it. It's just a different game though. So it's
a very different game. Yeah.
It's a different game, but the high schoolers is, that's where we get into this kind of stuff. I can't.
Yeah, I played a lot of soccer, and I remember what it was like to be a 5-year-old soccer player.
Yeah, amoeba ball.
Things were different when I was 16. Very, very different. Yeah. Okay, so let's planning. Let's jump into planning. Tell us a little bit about how do you talk to the high schoolers, these people about their planning process. What's in there for them?
Yeah, I start with, if it's a very simple thing, like if we're just talking about 1v1s. Right. That just means you're just going to go at one other player. I ask my kids, I'm like, raise your hand if you have been doing these 1v1s with no plan. You've just been going at them and saying like, oh, we'll see what happens once I get there. Pretty much all the kids raise their hand in the beginning. I'm like, all right, would you feel better if you decided what your move was going to be beforehand? Right. If you knew, okay, I was going to attack this player and I was either going to do a scissor or a Maradona. Like if I had a plan. Would I, and they're like, yeah. And so that's a very simple thing. And on a more complex level, it's like, all right, what is your plan for getting recruited? What is your plan for moving on? Like, do you have they usually don't have a plan. I think about jujitsu, right? So if I'm competing in jujitsu, before you go into a jujitsu match, you have a plan. What is my game plan before I go and fight this person? Right? Am I going for a takedown and I'm standing them up and I'm going to try and let them pull guard and me try and pass? I just have a plan. It doesn't always happen, but then I feel prepared going into it. And then I am able to feel confident just having a plan.
And so people watching this who are career professionals thinking on this channel thinking, how does this compare? You have a one-on-one, right? If you're in a career position, you're in a meeting, you have a one-on-one normally with a manager, you might have a one-on-one with a peer group, somebody in the team. So that's another thing. Do you have a plan going into that? But kind of when you talk about different environments or in a team environment, that's like going to a meeting. What's it like? Do you have a plan when you're going into the meeting? What outcomes are you seeking? And is it documented before you go in? So you have that. And you said the magic word, are you prepared?
Are you prepared?
And a lot of people aren't prepared. So I love these lessons that we learned these things when we were young, but are we still carrying them forward outside of the sports arena into our professional lives? So tell us a little bit more about location, demographics, and how you serve. So I'd love to know, because I want people to be able to find you. Do you have, because you clearly have moments where you're on the field with the players, but do you have online courses? Do you have methodologies for people to work with you online in the push to goal environment? Tell us a little bit about it.
So I do coach kids online, college athletes as well, just in the mental performance space and the self-promotion space. That's a big thing. And I'm largely focused on recruitment. Right. So I do have a course that is launching in a couple months, which is Soccer Recruitment 101, how to get recruited if you want to play on. Right. And it leads back to that self-promotion. Right. Everything, kind of goes in that vein. So, yes, I do work with players online and athletes online. And teach them how to promote themselves, how to get recruited, or if they're just struggling mentally, like they're plateaued and they're like, I'm in my head, I'm on the bench, this is not going the way that I want it to. I do work with players one-on-one in that sphere as well.
Could someone do a teleconsult with you? Could they get on a Zoom call like this and actually talk about the game and have conversations about?
Absolutely. And then we'd figure out a plan.
Great. So look, if you're watching this and you've got kids in high school who are playing soccer and they want to get better at their skills, at their planning, at their ability to just make the grade, and we talked, you've mentioned it a little bit there about D2 and D1 and getting into the collegiate system and getting you to the point where you could be seen by something at the top of the game. Exactly. And I think that's a really powerful mechanism you're providing there by providing that online course. So here's what we're going to do. Izzy's going to tell me when that course is available. We're going to put the link in the show notes, so you're going to be able to download that course and get access to it. And then also we're going to give you access to Izzy as well. So you've got contact details below that are going to allow you. So you can just go down and look at the notes now, and that will allow you to contact Izzy and have that one-to-one conversation as well. And I think that'd be valuable. Probably be a really good investment of your time and investment fee too. So make sure that you get yourself onto Izzy's calendar. Well, you mentioned self-promotion there. We were talking before we came on about, what is it about an athlete, and as in my world, a career professional, that they would need to do in order to make, massive progress in either in their soccer career or an education path, or as we're talking about in my world, professionally. How do you continue to navigate I call it the jungle gym. I gave up on the career ladder because I realized your career is not a ladder, it's actually a jungle gym. You get to play in all the places, right? So tell us a little bit about that. What self-promotion mean to you, and how do you help these individuals promote themselves so they can get what they want out of their career?
When I was 15 years old, I had the chance to meet Chris Wondolowski, who is a professional soccer player. He played in my hometown and then actually played in the World Cup, right? So in my mind, this is someone who went to the top, and my team won the conference championship, so we got a meet and greet. And I got in front of that guy and I was like, all right, I gotta ask him a question. So I said, what is your advice for becoming a professional soccer player? And I really thought he was going to say something like, be the hardest worker, put in the time, when no one else is. And he told me, be your best promoter. Wow. And I didn't even fully understand it then. I was like, what? What? I didn't fully get that. And he said, be your best promoter. And that was shocking to me, because I really didn't think that's what it was, but that stuck with me, because I realized as I got older, no one wants you to win as badly as you want yourself to win. And we do have people in our lives that they're cheering for us and rooting us on, and they do want us to win, but it's really us who want us to win the most. So we know why we want to win. Like, we have skin in the game. We know why, and it's our job to then promote that, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, I am qualified for this job. This is why, right?
Yeah.
And if I don't have, the skills in this space yet, I will learn them, right? But I am the person for this job. I am the person for this team. And I think what goes in tandem with that is also being okay with rejection, because it wasn't a good fit either way. But we get afraid to promote ourselves because we're afraid of rejection.
So let's imagine I'm going to be a high school soccer player now. I once was a high school soccer player, so I can play the role pretty well. Tell me with a bit more specificity.
Yeah.
When you say self-promotion, what kind of things do I need to be doing daily, weekly, that would be in that promo space where I'm actually promoting myself? Is this like highlight reels or other things? Give us some specifics. Yeah. Everyone watching this for your career, remember, we're talking about kids soccer and high school soccer here, but think about some of the messages we're sharing with you.
Yeah.
What is that? What are the specific examples you can give us about how people can go about this promotion?
For sure, highlight reels, as you mentioned, and then reaching out to coaches and simply just saying, hi, sending an email. This is who I am, and I want to play with you because of X, Y, and Z. Now, there are systems in place, and that is all in the course that I'm launching. And I also, do work a one-on-one. There's certain criteria that needs to be in those emails and in those highlight reels, right? But basically that's it, because that's all I did, right? I just sent emails. I was like, hey, I want to play D1. Is someone going to give me a scholarship? And I got a scholarship because I asked, but I promoted myself, right? On my media, I had all soccer highlights of me, right? And it's not this, people are like, oh, but that's going to be braggadocious. That's going to be boastful. I'm like, if someone wants to take it that way, that's on them. That's not on you. Okay. You promote your skills.
I love you said that. I remember being cool in my professional career. I was working for a company in, I'll just say the state, in Arizona. And some of the people called me braggadocious.
Mm-hmm.
And my immediate response was, that's on you. That's actually how you feel.
That's how you feel.
It's actually not how I feel at all. I just think, I'm promoting myself here. Yes, I made $1 billion AI algorithm. Yes, I ran $100 million business, but it actually happened. So I love to promote that.
Yeah.
And that's such a powerful thing. So look, if you didn't hear that, let's recap some of these things. Your highlight reel. So professionally, what does that look like? Your highlight reel could be a resume, a well-crafted, emotionally powerful resume. It could be on LinkedIn. It could be your featured section on LinkedIn that you're allowed to put examples of your own work there. You can put videos there. You can put posts there. You might create a YouTube channel and talk about what it is that you do so well for other companies. Just like a soccer player would to promote themselves. And I played rugby and soccer as a kid, grew up, and when I was coaching those sports, players from around the world would send me videos of them playing because they want me to recruit them to bring them onto the team. That's how they did it. So I love that you mentioned this, because I think it has great parallels in the sports industry for high school soccer kids wanting to make the grade, but it has great parallel for career professionals. So that was the first one. The other one you said is this one, which I love, because I've been writing down some notes recently about, where were my biggest jumps and leaps in my career? The first one was something we kind of be talking about here, is that I had help. Some people helped me, but I didn't ask for their help. They were just kind of in my environment. It was mentors, it was coaches, it was bosses, managers, whatever you want to call those people. It was peer group. It was actually my team members. Some of the things my team members have said to me have probably given me more promotion and more, gains than anything else. But this is the key one. And I wrote the word ask on here because you said it. It's great. We got to learn to ask for help. We got to learn to reach out. And you said earlier about that confidence piece, that we can become isolated and withdraw when we're lacking in confidence. And so we start to go it alone. And this is kind of one of the things I say to people in their career, as I would to, if I was on the field with your team, I would say the same thing. Hey, this is a team sport.
Yeah.
Just like coaching is a team sport, but your career is also a team sport. So it doesn't matter where you are, going it alone or making any assumptions about what to do without reaching out to some people who know how to get there would be a massive mistake. I love that. This is so good. Self-promotion.
And you also were able to accept that. There are people who, when someone comes to give them a compliment, or like you said, your coworkers or your boss, people often won't even accept that but you accepted that, right? I think people actually even struggle with accepting it. And that's what helped you, is because you also accepted it. The good thing came your way and you're like, all right, like, thank you. I'll take that.
I learned, I've also been documenting the whole career. So I've gone back to my out of university, what happened first. And I've documented the whole path because I'm trying to spot where are these leaps happening? How did I get these big gains? And it's kind of a tale of individual contributor to management to leadership and so on. And all of it ties back to some of these philosophies that I learned from my sporting life. Yeah, one of the things I haven't said yet, I played competitive sports for 30 years.
Okay. All right.
And in the UK, look, in the UK, the dynamic's different. And I didn't play super high level soccer, and I certainly didn't make it to the top of the game in rugby, which was actually my game. But I played a good level, good standard, kind of enjoyable standard.
Yeah.
And some of the things you're sharing with us are kind of bringing that back. But I think it's important that we do look back to see where we succeeded. Some of these things about self-promotion are really, really important. Now, what else could we talk about here? So I think you got self-promotion number one. What would be the next thing that you're kind of noticing with the high school kids that may be applicable to career professionals today?
Yeah, self-promotion, having a plan, and then I think the other piece is serving others, right? So I talk to players about this, and this in a career space is the same thing. In an interview, you don't want to be like, oh, what am I getting? What am I getting? You're like, what am I giving? What am I giving? And I talk to players about that. When you're reaching out to a coach, you make it about, I want to be on this team because I could contribute to this team in X, Y, and Z. Like, these are the ways that I can contribute to the team. So I think it's that power of service and coming at someone. I mean, just like what you're doing for me right now, we're on this and you're like promoting what I'm doing. You're serving, and you're adding value in that. And I'm very appreciative, but like, that's something that we forget, like, go out there and serve. And I think there's one other really crucial piece of this. And I tell this to my players sometimes. They're like, hey, what should I do when talking to the coach? I say, ask the coach about themselves, because everyone likes to talk about themselves, right? But coaches get pitched by players all the time. And players want to talk about X, Y, Z, all this thing. They don't get asked about themselves that much, right? Especially not by our players. But if I have a player that comes up, and I had this one player, I told him, I said, when you go to this coach and you're trying to connect him, I said, I want you to ask him what was one of his favorite memories in one of his high school soccer games. I was like, draw him in that way. And he did it. And he said it, and he said it went well. And I think that's something that's really important. And it's, it's a little bit cliche, but it's like, instead of trying to be the most interesting person in the room, be the most interested, ask the questions, draw them out. And I think especially it stands out when a kid or a high school athlete is talking to an adult in that space, right? Asking them about themselves, make it personal and be interested.
I love it. I knew this conversation would be so good because it's such two unique markets. My market is people who've been around 20 years.
Yeah.
And there's a few know-it-alls in there, but they come to me genuinely unhappy about where they find themselves, even though they're hugely successful. Like you mentioned you mentioned a World Cup player, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a huge accomplishment. And so yes, I do want to give to you. And the reason why is because if this video could find its way to a high school kid who plays in a World Cup one day, then we've won. But we've actually still won if this video finds itself to a high school kid who just practices the self-promotion. And the serving of others. And I love, there's a book by a guy called Joe Polish. I don't know if you've ever come across Joe. It's called What's in It for Them. And the theme is what you're actually talking about, which is less getting for you. I think the first trap to misery in life is see what you can get. And I was so guilty of this, seeing what I could get out of life. How much money could I get? How much responsibility could I get? What job title could I get? And then on the soccer pitch, how many goals can I score? I mean, I think there's a place for a selfish number 9, but not everybody. It's the team sport, right? So less get, more give. How much can you give? And then one thing you said there, which really stands out to me, and I think this is where, hey, look, if you're watching this and you've stumbled across this and you've got kids, maybe you're a career professional who has a teenager who wants to play soccer. You just landed in the right place watching us too. This is the next one. You want to help that coach, but actually help, because I think a lot of people I talk to tell me they love helping others, but they never tell me how they do it. And that's because they don't. They
Mm,
don't actually help anyone. They're just trying to see what's my next job title? What's my next team that I'm going to play on? Am I going to play the position I want to play? Am I going to get picked in the first team? I don't want to be on the bench. I want to start the game. It's all about gear, but they're not actually helping the unit. And so that's actually problematic, right? And I remember the difficulty of standing on the bench or sitting on the bench, standing in England, because I was playing on cold, windswept playing fields where, there weren't any benches. You just stood up and shivered while you waited for your turn. But then there's a big difference when you're actually in the team and what that does for your confidence.
yeah.
But if my mindset had been different and I was thinking about what can I give while I'm stood on the sideline and I was genuinely cheering on, actually, I think I was pretty good at this, but genuinely cheering the team on, that's more because I'm in the game. Now I'm in the game. And the coach sees that and the supporters see that and everybody else sees that, oh, yeah, well, maybe James should get a run, right? So I think that's vital what you said there. Yeah. Help people by actually helping them and have the evidence of how did you help? Did you carry the water bottles today? Did you help? When practice ended, did you put practice away or did you just leave with mum and dad in your vehicle?
Yes.
Where's your involvement? Yeah, I love that. So yeah, self-promotion, serving others. This is really good. Yeah, I wrote down serving others as well because I want people to pick up these messages. Serve others, and this doesn't matter where you are in life. I think promoting yourself is allowed. You are allowed to do that, and serving others should be mandatory for everyone.
Yeah. What is like one of your kind of go-tos on teaching someone like how to serve others? Like someone's like, I don't really know what to do. You know what I mean? Because I feel like some people are like what do I do there? What are some of your tips on that? Like, this is how to serve others. These are some easy ways you can just serve someone.
Yeah, throw them in, jump them in. Yeah. What have you got? Have you got some more?
No, I was asking you.
Oh, for me, yeah, I think the number one is listen. Are you listening? You want to help someone, actually listen to what they're saying.
Yeah.
And you don't have to respond all the time. And sometimes you can ask, would you like me to respond? Or sometimes you can clarify and just say, hey, what I think I heard you just say is, are we now aligned around what you just said? Do I understand it? And then you can respond. A lot of people want to respond. Yeah, and I'm terrible. My wife, she was in here right now. She go, yeah, you're the quick responder with me.
You're a coach. You're a coach.
And we know each other. Yeah, I've got to keep remembering. When I leave this room, take your coach hat off and turn into a loving husband again. Listen, pay attention. And so I think that's vital. Yeah, listening first would be one that I would share. Is it actually how you help somebody? The other one is paying attention to. This is kind of Zig Ziglar. If you help people get what they want, then you'll get what you want. But you can't do that unless you understand what they want. So one, you got to listen, but two, can you tell me what does that person want? And if you can, then you've done enough listening and you've done enough research and you care about that person enough that you're actually doing something about it. And an example for this in my world is with my clients, I'm paying attention to where their biggest gap is. And then I'll try and plug that with information that typically isn't from me. I'll find a book on Amazon. I have a female client right now and I'm not promoting an Amazon front store or anything like this, but there was a book I saw called How Women Rise. And I thought she's at the point in her career where she would love to read this. It's going to be really powerful. And it plugs the gap of confidence in female leadership. Because let's face it, she's going to be up against it.
Yeah.
She's in a male dominated software industry where she's got to figure out, how do I become the business leader amongst this? Now, look, I think the times are changing. I think the world's woken up to the fact that my opinion of this is, women are better organized, they've got better at responsibility. There's a reason for that. And they are in those roles, but for her, she's still pushing the boundaries here. So she's trying to get up against it. So that's how I would help, is to find the gift. That's a small thing. Now, I don't know if she'll ever read the book, but just reading those three or four words on the cover might be enough. Yeah. But this book's about how women rise. This is the manual. So there's a chance she'll go and take a look inside. She might not read the whole thing, but there's a much more chance now that she's going to be the one to rise because she's got access to that resource. And she's probably going to pay that forward at some point. Yeah. Hey, some guy I worked with a long time ago, he gave me this book and I think you should read it. And then she can gift that on as well. And so that information, I always think if you share wisdom, you become wiser too. Yes. And so always share the wisdom, and that's what I did with. I won't mention her name, but yeah, let's call her Jackie. Yeah, with Jackie, and she was incredibly grateful because she didn't expect it, but she said, "You're right. I've been struggling with the how do I break through? And as a soccer player, the same thing, right? I continually ask myself in soccer, it's why I stopped at 17. I stopped at 17 because I couldn't see how am I going to become a pro footballer when the competition in England, particularly, is extremely high. And so, yes, I played schoolboy environment where I played with the players who eventually played for the professional teams, but I couldn't see how I was going to break through. I actually didn't believe it. But yeah, but you asked me about helping, and I think that's it. I think that's how you help people is listen first, know their goals, and then help them get it.
Yeah.
Get out of your way to help them get it. And that's what I'm doing now, in my world, is just to help people get what they want.
Yeah. And you did both of those things in that because you heard the need and they were like, hey, I heard you were actually listening to her pain points and being like, hey, this will help and giving a gift. That's great. Love that.
Let's paint this scenario. One of your high schoolers is leaving. They're leaving the coaching environment. They're leaving the team. What else do you want them to know before they leave? Hey, I forgot to tell you a couple more things that I want you to take with you that I've learned that I think are impactful, in my podcast, in my YouTube channel, in my soccer coaching, in my entrepreneurship journey. All of this I'm noticing means something. What are those couple of things that you could share with us to kind of take us towards the end of this?
Voice your dream.
Whoa.
Voice your dream and go for it. Do not be afraid to say whatever it is that you actually want. Don't be afraid. And I think we do get afraid because then we're like, what if it doesn't happen? Say what it is that you want and go all in on it, right?
We're recording this at New Year, right? And people make those New Year's resolutions. Yes. I always say, don't do that. I always say, just make the declaration. But what you said is crucial for me, I think, is what you want, not what you need. What you need comes from a place of scarcity and not having enough.
Yes.
I just need $1 more because I can't pay my water bill. It's different to I want $3 so I can pay the water bill and I can go to practice.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. So yeah.
Say what is your
dream. So give us an example of how might you, if you're working with a player, and in my world, the professional, how might you get them to do that? Are there mechanisms to say, I think it's like getting clear on their dream, but then vocalizing it. How would you tell those high schoolers to do that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of easy to do in that space because there's levels of it, but I start like, do you want to play in college? And like, if you say that, none of them will really say anything. They'll kind of nod, say, raise your hand if you want to play in college. Okay. All right. So we know. I'm like, I need you confident saying that. So when I ask you, say that, right? And it's like, then after that, it's like, do you want to play Division I? Then you need to raise your hand when I say that. And you need to say, I want to go D1. And then same thing. Do you want to play professional? Right. And each time, like it's a little harder to say it each time, but you have to, right? Like, yes. And I tell them to say that. And then I say, well, now you've told me that. I have to hold you to that level of training now. So it adds a pressure. You say it, and it's like, well, I better behave like a Division I athlete then. I better behave like a professional athlete then.
Yeah.
You don't practice, like a Division II athlete. If you want to go D1, you practice like a Division I athlete, and you don't wait till you get there to act like that. You act that entire time. Like I always viewed myself at that level, right? So you don't mess around with that. Like you act it before, and then you get there and you rise.
Yeah. Do you mind if I improvise on that one a little bit?
Absolutely.
So my yes and is what I get clients to do, and what I would get the high school players to do is to write down, but also verbalize an affirmation that would say, I have a thriving soccer career. I am a D1 player, and to affirm it that way.
Yeah.
To do it in the current state, but it's done.
Yeah.
I'm already the D1 player. And I think that's a really good way to just gravitate towards what you want, rather than that negative dialogue and emotional context that we talked about earlier, which is, I don't know if I can make D1. Could I? It's very different than if you just write down, I am a D1 player. And that starts to shift your identity, but also starts to manifest and open up the doorways for you. And I do this with people in their careers to say, what is it you're looking for? Well, I'd like to work in a startup environment, and that's kind of what I think would be most exciting. Okay, then write down, I am one of the business leaders in a startup that's looking for, funding, or it's looking for seed capital, and I get them to be in the moment.
Yes.
And then they'll message me and go, I dreamt about that all last night. I said, yeah, because this is your dream. This is what you wanted. I'm just helping you get the clarity on that. And that's why I kind of share that with you now, because it's a great exercise for the kids. Hey, homework before next practice. Can you put some notes down here? And then when you come, we're going to read them out. You're going to think that's weird. And yeah, you're going to get to kick a ball and we're going to run around and we're going to do some training here.
Yeah.
But I still want you to connect to the emotional side of this and the kind of dream side of this. Yeah, I love that. Vocalizing. Yeah, this is so good. What else? Okay, we got our sadly departing player. What else do we need that player to know before they leave the training of Izzy, or they leave the squad or the team that you're working with?
It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. Right. So we go for a dream and we go all in. And if, we get further down the line and we need to change our mind and we change the way that looks, that's okay. Right. And we don't dig our heels in, on something that we no longer want, because we change a lot. Right. My dream that I had when I was 11 is definitely different than now at 24. Right. So sometimes we get caught up on the 11-year-old dream, which can take us really, really far. But if we cross that bridge, it's like, no, I changed my mind. That's okay. It's okay to change your mind.
That is awesome. Because I like that view of, you got to be confident in what you say, stand behind it, but you got the right to change your mind.
Yeah.
If somebody convinces you otherwise and provides a compelling argument or data or statistics or something that can prove it out that, hey, actually what you said is not true, or here's a different version of events. Yeah. Again, I'm going to put my hand up because I wasn't very good at listening. I'm still working on my listening skills. I wouldn't always listen to those other perspectives and opinions, and I would poo-poo them. It's like, no, I don't know if I agree with that. And I've changed so many things about my perspectives as I've got older, and I've paid more attention to what's going on. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Anything else you want to ask? And I want people to know a bit about you before we disappear. So I'm going to ask you some personal things, kind of what people say about you, that kind of stuff. But yeah, anything else that you would say to this departing player? Or do you think those two things of, make sure you vocalize your dream and make sure it's okay to change your mind if you need to? What else would we say?
I think the third thing.
Bye. Give me a hug.
Yeah. Have fun.
Have fun. Yes.
Have fun. Have fun often. Don't take it too serious. Like, it's a game for a reason, right? Like, just like you said, in business, it's a jungle gym, right? It's a game. We're all playing a game, and we play games because they're fun. And let's not forget that, I'm really big on enjoy the journey, right? We get in that hustle culture, and sometimes that takes away from the fun. I'm like, if I'm not having fun, why am I doing this? Right. Yeah. So try and enjoy it. Just joke around, laugh. I remind my kids to do that. I'm like, hey, can I see some smiles? Can I see some smiles out here? Have fun.
Extremely guilty of going through my professional career in business of just not smiling enough. Not having that fun. And, now I have that different lease of life where I can look at things that way, and I think the patience piece is important. We talked about it. You're going to give people a plan. They need to have fun with their plan. If they're not enjoying it, the plan needs to change.
Yeah.
But if their plan and they're enjoying it and everything's happening with a smile on their face, I'm now thinking of Mo Salah, a Liverpool soccer player. I don't know if you know who he is. You probably, maybe. But he's always playing with a smile on his face, which means his plan works.
Yes.
He's probably one of the top 10 players in the world. And so you just think that's how it should be. But the other thing with him that most people forget is he'd already had one round in the Premier League and didn't work out. So he had to deploy, be patient.
Yes.
So he played Premier League, it didn't work out. He disappeared to Roma, I think, in Italy. And then before he came back to Liverpool, and he's been a megastar ever since. And that's a really powerful story. So yeah, maybe the thing we'd say, have fun to everybody on this path to be D1 or to be collegiate or to be picked up by an academy somewhere is be patient.
Anything. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Let's talk about you. I want people to hear it. So let me ask you some questions.
All right.
A good one I like is what's the best compliment somebody ever gave you?
Oh, that is a good question. They feel calm around me. That's a good compliment because I'm a high-paced, high-energy person, right? So I'm like, wow, that's kind of shocking. That was definitely a good compliment. And then I think the second one I got is I got told I was a very good communicator. I was a very good communicator.
Cool.
And that meant a lot to me just within my family dynamic. I was a good communicator and I appreciated that compliment.
Yeah, and it comes across, I'm seeing it that you've got the confidence, and that probably what calms other people, reassures other people. So they say it's quite calming to be around you, even with that energy.
Good.
Communication comes because you're operating in your own trust. You know that what you're doing is what you love to do, what you're doing is the path you're on, and sharing messages, and that's what's giving that, you're just getting better at the communication model. Yeah, I love that. Okay. What about the best advice that someone gave to you? So we went through a ton of stuff today, which is all great advice, and you've picked up along your journey. But what's the best thing that you ever heard that you think's been one of the most impactful comments or statements?
The be your best promoter. That was a huge nugget that I got. I think another piece advice that I kind of have had in my head, I'd kind of always thought it, but then I heard Ed Milet say it. And he said, I viewed myself when I was really young in this light, but he said, be the one.
Be the one.
Be the one in your family. Be the one to make the change. Be the one to go big. Be the one. And you can be the one. It's a choice to be the one. And I heard that and I was like, that is me. Like,
have you ever seen Ed live on stage?
I've never seen him live.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
in Atlanta though in a couple of
He
weeks.
just doesn't say be the one. He's telling the story of be the one, and the whole time he's screaming, I'm the one. I'm the
Yes.
one who did it. I'm the one. And that's the message.
Yes.
That's self-promotion. That's the confidence. That's the serving of others, that he said, I'm the one to serve other people, to do the thing.
Yeah.
Stand out. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I saw him in April of 23.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, then I've seen video recently of him standing on stage in LA and doing a similar conversation. What would your parents say that you do for a living? How would they describe that?
My mom would say I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And my dad would say I'm a teacher and a coach.
And they're pretty accurate.
Yeah, they're both. But
let's find out a little bit. What's one lesson that they taught you that you think is valuable to share with the audience?
My dad is a huge promoter of fun. And he wasn't always that way, but in the past, 3 to 5 years in life, he's changed a lot in his life. And he is like, if it doesn't make you happy, get it out. Like, he is a big promoter on fun, like travel, live your life, like chill out a little bit. I think I had a lot of years of my life where I was all hustle, grind. If I wasn't suffering, I wasn't moving forward. And I was deep into that mindset. And my dad was this voice of like, can you relax? Like, just chill, like watch some Netflix, it just,
you look like you're having fun. I think you're doing
there
good.
we go. Yes.
What did mum teach you? What's something she shared?
You can do anything you want to do. She was always like, do it. You can do it. I would say I was going to do something. She was like, cool, do it. Right. She's just like, never a voice of doubt from her ever. Was always just like, yeah, do it. Right. And there was also like an independence in there. It wasn't like, yeah, let me help you. It was like, yeah, go do it. And that was very valuable always. And I was like, yeah, she, gave me a boost in my ability to figure it out, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because she always said, I will figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Doubling down on preferred interest is what gets you there. What you want to do, but make sure you're going to do it until the end.
Yeah.
You just talked there about temporary. We're only here for a temporary short amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just choose things that you want to do, that you'll do it. You'll love it. You'll have fun with it. You'll do it to the end. And you'll figure it out. Yeah. You'll figure out the way to become the master. And you're well on your way to doing that. Okay. Well, I want to thank you. But I also want to promote a website of some description. So where do you want people to come and find out about the high school soccer coaching and be able to contact you, where they can potentially buy your course shortly? But also, what I would love them to do is to reach out to you and to set up time.
I would love for that. So they can go to Izi Chinchay on Instagram. That's just my name. So IZICH.
We'll put it in below.
Yeah.
So that
Izi Chinchay. And then from there, I have like my Push the Goal Instagram account link. They could go to either of those accounts
right.
and look on there. I also have, the website. And yeah, absolutely anyone can reach out to me. Love to connect, love to help in, any way that I can, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. And if I come across any of my clients who have high schoolers who are thinking about soccer careers, then I know where to send them for conversations. So I'll try to do that. Look, I've really enjoyed this week. This time flew by.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you. So I'm very grateful for you joining the show. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you again in the near future.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Thanks, Izzy.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, I would greatly appreciate if you could share this episode with 5 people you think could benefit from the show. Also, please feel free to connect with me on Instagram at Izi Chinchay or my website at izichinchay.com. Thank you so much for being you. Keep being a leader and making this world a better place.